Waitress slid the biker a photo with his change. When the club heard about her son, they made a vow. The bell above the diner door chimed as Marcus Reaper Sullivan walked in, his leather boots heavy against the worn linoleum floor. It was just past 2 in the afternoon, that dead zone between lunch and dinner when most restaurants felt like ghost towns. Rosie's diner was no exception. He took a seat at the counter, the vinyl stool creaking under his weight. The place had that lived-in feeling, the kind that came from decades of serving coffee and comfort food to travelers passing through. Faded photographs lined the walls, showing the diner in different eras, always the same building, just different faces behind the counter. A woman emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. She was probably in her early 30s, with blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail and tired eyes that tried their best to smile. Her name tag read Jenny. "What can I get you?" she asked, pulling out a notepad. "Just coffee and the burger. Whatever comes with it is fine." Jenny nodded, scribbling down the order. As she turned to pin it to the kitchen window, Marcus noticed the slight limp in her step, the way she favored her left side. Old injury, maybe, or current one she was trying to hide. The diner was nearly empty. An elderly couple sat in a corner booth, sharing a piece of pie. A trucker hunched over his phone at a table near the window. Otherwise, it was just the hum of the ancient refrigerator and the sizzle of the grill. Jenny returned with his coffee, her hands steady despite the exhaustion evident in every movement. "Food'll be up in about 10 minutes. No rush." She moved to refill the elderly couple's coffee, and Marcus caught fragments of their conversation. They were sweet with each other, finishing each other's sentences, laughing at private jokes. Married 50 years, probably. The kind of relationship that made you believe in something good. When his burger arrived, Jenny set it down with practiced efficiency. "Anything else I can get you?" "I'm good, thanks." She nodded and disappeared back into the kitchen. Marcus ate slowly, not because the food required it, though it was surprisingly decent, but because he had nowhere pressing to be. The Iron Skulls had a meeting at 7, but until then, the afternoon was his. He was halfway through his burger when he heard it. A raised voice from the kitchen, male and aggressive. Jenny's voice responding, quieter, apologetic. The kind of tone people used when they were trying to de-escalate something that shouldn't need de-escalating. The kitchen door swung open, and a man in a grease-stained apron emerged, his face red. "You think you can just take breaks whenever you want? We got orders backing up, and you're out here daydreaming." "I'm sorry, Rick. I just needed a minute to..." "I don't care what you needed. You need this job, don't you? Or should I find someone who actually wants to work?" Jenny's face flushed. "No, I need it. I'm sorry." The man, Rick, apparently the manager, stormed back into the kitchen, letting the door swing violently behind him. Jenny stood there for a moment, her shoulders rigid, before taking a shaky breath and returning to her duties. The elderly couple exchanged uncomfortable glances. The trucker kept his eyes on his phone, pretending he hadn't heard anything. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. He'd seen this kind of thing before. People in positions of minor power wielding it like a weapon against those who couldn't fight back. It made his blood simmer. But he kept eating. Wasn't his business. Wasn't his place to get involved in a workplace drama between strangers. When he finished, Jenny returned with his check. Her hands trembled slightly as she set it down on the counter. "Take your time." Marcus pulled out his wallet, extracted a 20 and a 10. The check was for $14. "Keep the change." Jenny's eyes widened. "Sir, That's a $16 tip for a burger and coffee. Food was good. Service was better. I can't accept. Already paid. Can't give it back now. He offered a small smile, the kind he'd learned could ease tension without seeming threatening. Jenny's eyes welled up just slightly before she blinked it away. Thank you. Really. You have no idea. She trailed off, collecting the money. As she made change, he'd given her too much for her to keep it all without feeling uncomfortable. Her hand shook. The bills fluttered to the counter, and something else fell with them. A photograph. Small, wallet-sized, bent at the corners from being carried everywhere. It landed face up between them. Marcus's breath caught. The photo showed a boy, maybe 9 or 10 years old, with a bright smile and mischievous eyes. He wore a baseball uniform, holding a bat over his shoulder, looking proud and happy and utterly alive. But it was the handwritten note on the white border that stopped Marcus's heart. Caleb, age 10. We need help. Cancer treatment is $3,400 a month. Insurance denied. Running out of time. Please, if you know anyone who can help, 555-0165. Jenny. Jenny gasped, snatching the photo back with mortified speed. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean... That wasn't supposed to... Her face went crimson. Please forget you saw that. I wasn't trying to... I would never use a customer like that, I swear. It just fell. I keep it with my money because... She was spiraling, embarrassment and desperation and fear all crashing together. Marcus held up his hand. Hey, it's okay. Breathe. Jenny clutched the photo to her chest, tears finally spilling over. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't tell Rick. I need this job. I can't... Caleb needs... Who's Caleb? Jenny wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, smudging her mascara. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. My son. The diner had gone completely silent. Even the elderly couple was watching now, concern evident on their weathered faces. Marcus kept his voice gentle. What kind of cancer? Jenny hesitated, like saying it out loud might make it more real. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. He was diagnosed 6 months ago. The first round of treatment worked, but it came back. Now he needs a different protocol, more aggressive, and our insurance. She laughed bitterly. They found a reason to deny it, said it was experimental, said there were other options to try first. But his oncologist says those options won't work for his specific case. He needs this treatment, and it costs $3,400 every single month. Marcus felt something cold settle in his gut. How many months of treatment? At least 12, maybe 18, if it works. Her voice broke on those last 3 words. $40,000, maybe more. An impossible sum for a waitress working at a roadside diner. What about fundraising? GoFundMe, those kinds of things? Jenny nodded, exhausted. We've tried. Raised about $8,000 so far. My family's helping what they can, but we're not wealthy people. My ex-husband... She stopped, shook her head. He's not in the picture. It's just me and Caleb. What about the hospital? Payment plans? We're on one, but it covers the previous treatment bills. This new protocol isn't covered by any plan because insurance won't approve it, so it's just... She gestured helplessly. I've been picking up every shift I can, working here, then cleaning offices at night. I sleep about 3 hours, then I'm back up to take Caleb to his appointments. That explained the exhaustion. The limp, probably from being on her feet 20 hours a day. The trembling hands from running on coffee and adrenaline and desperation. I wasn't trying to guilt you into anything, Jenny said again, misunderstanding his silence. The photo just fell. I write that on copies and leave them places sometimes, just in case. I don't know. In case a miracle happens. In case someone knows someone who can help. I know it's pathetic. It's not pathetic. It's a mother fighting for her son. Marcus picked up the photo from where she'd set it on the counter, studied the boy's face. He looks like a fighter. Jenny's expression softened. He is. He's so brave. He keeps telling me he's fine, that he'll beat this, that I don't need to worry. He's 10 years old and he's comforting me. Her voice cracked. What kind of world makes a child comfort his mother about his own cancer? The kind of world that needed fixing, Marcus thought. The kind of world that let insurance companies play God with people's lives. The kind of world where a waitress had to work herself to death trying to save her son. He looked at the photo again. Really looked at it. The kid's smile, the hope in his eyes, the future he deserved to have. Marcus pulled out his phone. Can I take a picture of this? The photo? Jenny tensed. Why? Because I might know people who can help. I can't afford to pay. Back. Nobody's asking you to pay anything back. Marcus met her eyes. Look, I'm part of a motorcycle club. We do charity work sometimes. Fundraisers, toy drives, that kind of thing. No promises, but let me talk to my people. See what we can do. Jenny stared at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. You'd do that? For someone you don't even know? Your son doesn't deserve to die because an insurance company cares more about profits than people. And you don't deserve to work yourself to death trying to save him. He held up his phone. Can I? Jenny nodded, speechless. Marcus took a clear photo of Caleb's picture, making sure the handwritten note was visible. Then he added Jenny's number to his contacts. I'll call you, he said, standing. Might be tomorrow, might be a few days. But I'll call. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything yet. Let me see what's possible first. As Marcus headed for the door, Jenny called after him. Thank you. Even if nothing comes of it, thank you for caring. Marcus paused, his hand on the door. What's Caleb's favorite thing? If he could have anything, what would make him smile? Jenny didn't have to think about it. Motorcycles. He's obsessed with them. Has posters all over his hospital room. Says when he grows up, he's going to ride across the whole country. Marcus smiled, a real one this time. Then he's going to need to get better so he can do it. He walked out into the afternoon sun, his mind already working. The Iron Skulls had 73 members across 3 chapters. They'd done charity work before. Christmas toy drives, veteran fundraisers, food bank donations. But never something like this. Never something this urgent, this expensive, this impossible. But impossible just meant they'd have to work harder. Marcus pulled out his phone and called the first number in his contacts. 2 rings, then a gravelly voice answered. Reaper, what's up? Ghost, I need you to call an emergency church meeting. Tonight, 6 o'clock instead of 7. Thomas Ghost Morrison, the club president, heard something in Marcus's voice. What happened? Met a kid who needs us. A kid who's running out of time. Say no more. I'll make the calls. By 5:30 that evening, the Iron Skulls clubhouse was packed. Not just the local chapter, but members from the neighboring chapters who dropped everything to show up when they heard the urgency in Ghost's voice. 73 members became 68 who could make it on short notice, filling the large room with leather and chrome and brotherhood. Ghost called the meeting to order. Reaper called this, it's his show. All eyes turned to Marcus. He pulled out his phone, connected it to the projector they used for club business, and brought up the photo of Caleb. This is Caleb Morrison. No relation to Ghost, different family. He's 10 years old. He's got acute lymphoblastic leukemia. He needs treatment that costs $3,400 a month for at least a year. His insurance denied coverage. His mother's a waitress working 2 jobs, sleeping 3 hours a night. And she's still about $30,000 short of saving her son's life. The room was dead silent. Marcus continued. I met his mom today at a diner outside town. She didn't ask me for money, didn't pitch me a sob story. This photo fell out of her pocket by accident, and she was mortified that I saw it. She's been leaving copies of it places with her number written on them, just hoping for a miracle. He looked around the room at faces he'd known for years. Men and women who'd become his family. People who understood that sometimes the world was cruel, and the only way to fight it was to be kinder than it expected. We've done charity rides before. We've raised money for causes. But I've never asked us to do something like this. This is one kid, one family, and a number that seems impossible. But I look at that boy's face, and I think about how much time we waste on bullshit that doesn't matter. And here's something that matters more than anything. What are you proposing? Asked Sarah Viper Collins, the club's treasurer. Everything. I'm proposing we throw everything at this. Fundraisers, donation drives, reaching out to every contact we have. The local news, social media, other clubs, businesses, churches, anyone who'll listen. Marcus's voice intensified. I'm proposing we make this our mission until that kid gets his treatment. Because if we can't save one 10-year-old boy when we have the numbers and the resources and the network, then what the hell are we doing? Silence. Then a hand went up in the back. Diego Wraith Vargas, one of the oldest members, a Vietnam veteran who'd been with the club since its founding. I'm in, he said simply. Whatever it takes. Another hand, then another, then another. Within seconds, every hand in the room was raised. Ghost stood. All right then, we've got a mission. Viper, what do we have in the treasury? About 12,000 from our general fund. Another 8 in emergency reserves. The emergency fund is for club emergencies, someone pointed out. This is an emergency, Ghost said flatly. That's 20,000 right there. We need about 20 more to cover a year of treatment and give Jenny some breathing room. I've got a friend at Channel 7, offered Maria Phoenix Santos. She's always looking for human interest stories. I can pitch her this, get some news coverage. My company will match donations up to 5,000, said Robert Diesel Chung, who owned a successful auto repair chain. I'll talk to the other business owners in my network. We can organize a charity ride, suggested James Hammer Stone. Big one. Charge an entry fee, get sponsors, make it an event. We did one for the Veteran Center 2 years ago and raised 15 grand. Ideas flowed fast and furious. A benefit concert, a silent auction, reaching out to other motorcycle clubs for support, setting up donation jars at local businesses, creating a social media campaign, every suggestion building on the last, momentum growing. Marcus felt something tight in his chest loosen. This was why he'd joined the Iron Skulls years ago. Not for the bikes or the image, but for this. For family that showed up when it mattered. One more thing, Ghost said, his voice cutting through the planning. I want to meet this kid. I want to meet Jenny. I want to look them in the eye and make a promise that we're going to honor. She works at Rosie's Diner, Marcus said, off Highway 9. Then tomorrow, we ride to Rosie's, all of us who can make it, and we tell Jenny Morrison that she's not alone anymore. The meeting continued for 3 more hours. Plans formed, responsibilities divided, contacts made. By the time they adjourned at 9, they had a comprehensive strategy that would have impressed a corporate marketing team. But more importantly, they had purpose. Marcus called Jenny that night. She answered on the first ring, her voice anxious. "Hello? Jenny, it's Marcus, from the diner." "Oh, hi, I didn't expect... Did you get my number for my photo?" "Yeah, listen, I talked to my club. We're going to help." Silence. Then a shaky breath. "Help how?" "We're going to raise the money for Caleb's treatment. All of it. However long he needs it." "You can't. That's $40,000. Maybe more. You can't." "We can and we will. We've already got $20,000 committed from our club funds. We're organizing fundraisers for the rest. A charity ride, a benefit concert, business donations. We've got a news contact who's going to run a story. We've got connections all over the state." Jenny made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. "Why would you do this? You don't even know us." "Because your son deserves a chance. And because we can help, so we should help. It's that simple. I don't know how to thank you. I don't know what to say." "Don't thank me yet. Let's make sure Caleb gets his treatment first." Marcus paused. "There's something else. Tomorrow afternoon, around 3, a bunch of us are going to come by the diner. We want to meet you and Caleb properly. If he's up for it, we'd like to take him for a short ride. Show him what motorcycles are really like. He would love that. He'd absolutely love that." Jenny was crying now, not bothering to hide it. "Thank you. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow." The next afternoon, 62 motorcycles rolled into the parking lot of Rosie's Diner. They filled every available space and spilled out onto the shoulder of the highway. A wall of chrome and leather that made traffic slow down to stare. Inside, Jenny stood behind the counter with Caleb beside her. The boy wore a baseball cap to cover his hair loss from chemotherapy, and he was thin in the way that sick children are. But his eyes were bright with excitement as he watched the bikers through the window. "Mom, there's so many of them," he whispered. The door chimed, and Marcus walked in first, followed by Ghost and the rest of the club. The diner couldn't hold them all, so many stayed outside, but enough entered to fill the space with presence. Caleb stared up at them with wide eyes. These were his heroes made real, the kind of people who rode the machines he'd only dreamed about. Ghost approached first, kneeling down to be at eye level with the boy. "You must be Caleb." Caleb nodded, suddenly shy. "I'm Ghost. I lead this club. And we heard you've been fighting something pretty tough." "Cancer," Caleb said quietly. "But I'm going to beat it." "I believe you will. And we're going to help make sure you can." Mom told me. She said you're going to help with the medicine money. "That's right. Every penny your treatment needs, we're going to raise it. You just focus on getting better." Caleb's lip trembled. "Why?" "You don't know me." Ghost smiled. "We know you're a kid who loves motorcycles and baseball and making your mom proud. We know you're a fighter. That's all we need to know." Marcus stepped forward. "Caleb, you feel up for a short ride? Just around the block. We've got a helmet your size." Caleb looked at Jenny, hope and disbelief warring on his face. Jenny's eyes were streaming tears, but she nodded. "If you feel strong enough, baby." "I feel strong," Caleb said, standing straighter. "I want to go." They fitted him with a helmet, made sure it was secure. Marcus let Caleb sit in front of him on his bike, positioned safely, with strict instructions to hold on tight. The other bikers formed an escort, surrounding them protectively. They rode slowly, just a loop around the nearby blocks, engines rumbling but never roaring. Caleb's laughter carried over the sound, pure and joyful and utterly free. When they returned, Caleb was glowing. "That was the best thing ever. Mom, did you see? Did you see me?" Jenny was sobbing openly now, but she was smiling. "I saw, baby. You look so happy." Ghost gathered everyone in the parking lot. "All right, listen up. Here's where we are. We've got 20,000 in club funds. We need at least 20 more. The charity ride is scheduled for 2 weeks from Saturday. We've got 50 businesses confirmed to put out donation jars. Channel 7 is running a story tomorrow night. And every single one of us is going to talk to everyone we know and ask for support." He looked at Jenny and Caleb. "We made you a promise. We're going to keep it." The fundraising began in earnest. The news story ran, showing Caleb's bright smile and Jenny's exhausted hope. It showed the Iron Skulls not as criminals or outlaws, but as a family supporting a child in need. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Donation jars at businesses filled faster than expected. The charity ride drew over 300 participants, each paying a $50 entry fee. Local businesses sponsored riders. People who couldn't ride donated anyway. The social media campaign went viral, spreading far beyond their local area. 2 weeks became 4. 4 became 6. The fundraising continued, momentum building instead of fading. Caleb started his treatment. The first month was brutal. He was sick constantly, exhausted, in pain. But Jenny could be with him because the Iron Skulls had also raised enough to cover her lost wages, letting her take time off work. Club members visited regularly, not all at once, not overwhelming him, but a steady stream of support. They brought books, puzzles, movies. They sat with Caleb during his long treatment sessions, telling him stories about riding across the country, fueling his dreams of someday doing it himself. The elderly couple from the diner, Harold and Martha, started visiting too. They'd been so moved by what they'd witnessed that they'd become volunteer grandparents to Caleb, bringing homemade cookies and playing board games during his hospital stays. Even Rick, the manager who'd yelled at Jenny, changed. Seeing the outpouring of support, seeing what his employee had been enduring in silence, something in him softened. He gave Jenny flexible hours, let her leave for appointments without penalty, stopped being a tyrant, and started being human. By month 3, they'd raised $62,000, more than enough to cover Caleb's treatment for the foreseeable future. The excess went into a medical fund for Jenny, covering co-pays and future expenses. By month 6, Caleb's scans showed improvement. The cancer was responding to treatment. His oncologist was cautiously optimistic. By month 9, Caleb was in remission. The celebration at the clubhouse was massive. Jenny and Caleb were guests of honor, surrounded by the people who'd become their extended family. Caleb wore a tiny leather vest that Viper had custom made for him, with a patch that read, "Honorary Iron Skull." Ghost stood to make a toast. 7 months ago, a photo fell out of a pocket. A desperate mother's plea for help that she never meant to make. And a brother of ours refused to look away. He raised his glass. To Caleb, to Jenny, to family, however we find it. To family, the room echoed. Caleb stood up small but strong, his hair growing back in fuzzy patches. "I want to say something." The room quieted. "When I got sick, I was really scared. I thought I was going to die. I thought my mom was going to be all alone." His voice wavered but held. "But then you all came. And you didn't just help with money. You made me feel like I mattered. Like I was worth fighting for. And now I'm better. And it's because of you." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Caleb continued, "When I grow up, I'm going to be like you. I'm going to help people who need it. I'm going to ride a motorcycle across the whole country. And I'm going to make my mom proud and make you proud because you saved my life. Marcus found himself wiping his eyes. This was why. This was the answer to every question about why they did what they did. A year after that day in the diner, Caleb remained cancer-free. The remission held. He was back in school, playing baseball again, living the normal life of an 11-year-old boy who'd survived something that should have destroyed him. Jenny still worked at Rosie's diner, but just one job now. She slept 7 hours a night. Her hands didn't shake anymore. The fear that had lived in her eyes had been replaced with something else. Hope, gratitude, joy. The Iron Skulls continued their mission. They'd discovered something powerful in helping Caleb. They'd created a medical fund, helping other families facing impossible healthcare costs. They partnered with hospitals to identify patients who needed financial assistance. They expanded their charity work, making it a core part of their identity. And they kept in touch with Caleb and Jenny. Birthday parties, holidays, regular visits. They'd become genuine family, the kind that showed up and stayed. On Caleb's 12th birthday, Ghost presented him with a gift, a savings bond, mature in 6 years when he turned 18. For your first motorcycle, Ghost explained. Start learning now. When you're old enough, we'll teach you to ride properly. And then you can take that cross-country trip you've been dreaming about. Caleb hugged him, holding on tight. I'm going to do it. I'm going to ride everywhere and see everything. And I'm going to tell everyone I meet about the bikers who saved my life. You do that, kid. You tell everyone. 2 years later, at 14, Caleb was thriving, completely cancer-free, no signs of recurrence. He volunteered with the Iron Skulls charity events, helping organize fundraisers, talking to other sick kids about hope and fighting and not giving up. He became the face of their organization, proving what was possible when people cared enough to act. His story inspired hundreds of donations, motivated dozens of similar interventions, changed the way the community saw the motorcycle club that had once been dismissed as troublemakers. Marcus kept the original photo, the one that had fallen on the counter that ordinary afternoon. It sat on his dresser, a reminder of how quickly everything could change, how a single moment of paying attention could save a life. Because that's what it came down to. Paying attention, caring when it would be easier not to, choosing action over apathy, seeing someone's quiet desperation and refusing to let it remain quiet. Jenny wrote an article for the local paper, telling their story. It ended with a paragraph that the Iron Skulls framed and hung in their clubhouse. We teach our children to fear the wrong people. We tell them that danger looks like leather and tattoos and motorcycles. But sometimes, the most dangerous thing in the world is indifference. And sometimes, salvation comes from the people you least expect. The Iron Skulls didn't save my son because they had to. They saved him because they could. And because they understood that with power comes responsibility. They're not outlaws, they're guardians. And I'll spend the rest of my life grateful that a photograph fell out of my pocket at exactly the right moment. The story spread. Other clubs started similar initiatives. The model the Iron Skulls created was replicated across the country. Motorcycle clubs partnering with hospitals, creating medical assistance funds, helping families drowning in healthcare costs that shouldn't exist. One desperate mother's photo became a movement. Years later, at 18, Caleb stood in the parking lot of the Iron Skulls clubhouse. His hair had grown back thick and dark. He'd filled out, grown tall and strong. And beside him sat a pristine motorcycle. the one he'd bought with a savings bond Ghost had given him 6 years earlier. The club gathered around, watching as Caleb prepared for his journey. He was taking that cross-country trip he'd always dreamed about. 3 months, 48 states, thousands of miles. Ghost handed him a leather vest, different from the honorary one he'd worn as a child. This one had full patches, the club's colors, earned over years of volunteering and proving himself. "You're one of us now," Ghost said. "Not honorary, real. So you ride safe, you check in regularly, and you remember you've got family waiting for you to come home." Caleb put on the vest, fighting back tears. "I remember everything. I remember being 10 years old and sick and scared. I remember thinking I'd never grow up. And I remember all of you refusing to let me give up." He looked around at the faces that had become his second family. "This ride isn't just for me. It's for every kid who's scared right now, every parent who feels helpless, every person who thinks miracles don't happen. I'm going to ride across this country and tell them miracles do happen. They look like ordinary people choosing to be extraordinary." Marcus stepped forward, gripping Caleb's shoulder. 8 years ago, your mom's photo fell out of her pocket. Best accident that ever happened." "Not an accident," Caleb said. "Fate. It was supposed to happen exactly the way it did. So I could be standing here today, about to live the dream I thought cancer took from me." Jenny watched her son prepare to ride away, tears streaming down her face. But they weren't tears of fear or sadness. They were tears of pride and gratitude and overwhelming joy. Her baby was alive, was strong, was about to live the adventure he'd always dreamed about. All because a photograph fell at the right moment. All because a biker refused to ignore what he saw. All because a community chose compassion over indifference. Caleb started his engine. The rumble echoed through the parking lot, a sound of freedom and possibility and second chances. He waved once, smiled that bright smile that had been preserved in a desperate photograph 8 years earlier, and rode off toward his future. The Iron Skulls watched until he disappeared from sight, engines rumbling in, salute. And somewhere in the clubhouse, on a wall of memories and miracles, a faded photograph remained. A 10-year-old boy in a baseball uniform, a mother's desperate plea written on the border, preserved as a reminder. A reminder that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear leather. Sometimes they ride motorcycles. Sometimes they're ordinary people who see someone struggling and decide that today they're going to be the answer to someone's prayer. Be that person. See that struggle. Be that answer. You never know when a small act of paying attention might save a life.